Elite Assembly. Step up, Steve Flash is the ToyLeet crew. We're the kings of the game, yeah, the chosen few. From the shadows, we rise with the rarest finds. Collect them, respect them, we're one of a kind. ToyLeet, ready the streets. Elite with the feats in this collectible feast. ToyLeet, down the street, we're the heart of the beat. We're all playmates, me. Check our stacks, our collection supreme. Limited editions, every collector's dream. We're the myths, we're the legends, with every drop. Taking over the block, we never stop. In the alleys where the echoes play. ToyLeet's the name, hear what we say. Rising, thriving, always vibing. In our realm, we're always dropping. ToyLeet, bring the street, the live ToyLeet. Setting the pace. With a snap of the case and a click of the lock. ToyLeet's on top and we're ready to rock. Collecting more than just toys. We're up. We're up. We're up. ToyLeet, now in the street, we're the heart of the beat, we're all playmates, me. We're the free, we're the ToyLeet, watch the flow, cause in this zone, we never admit defeat. Come for the thrill, skate for the chase, ToyLeet's in the place, set in the pace.
What is up? What is up?
What is going on, brother? I think it's ToyLeet Tuesday.
It's
ToyLeet
ToyLeet Tuesday.
What's up, man?
Not much, man. How's it going?
I feel like it's been a hell of a long time, dude.
Yeah, it's been a crazy long time, dude. It's just we're so friggin' busy. It's not even funny.
I know, man. I know. So, he's. I had it right?
Yes, you got me.
That's you.
You got me.
He's Ed Akxion Figs,
and that's Travis, the Mr. Wundrful.
Me, yeah, and together we are
the ToyLeet.
Awesome. So, thanks for jumping in. I see there's people hitting up the chat already.
Oh yeah,
definitely a bunch of people bouncing there. We'll check in with the chat in a second, but I did see one come up. So, do you want to just pull that one up? Because I think we got a little something we want to drop for him.
Sure. Are we talking about one of the coolest guys in the biz?
I make them buy. Hella dope toys will never die.
Something like that. Yeah, that's Ted over at Hella Dope Toys. He and Aaron. We got one half of them in the chat already. Thanks for following in. We'll touch base with the rest of the folks in the chat momentarily. For those of us, for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, catching this on a replay or whatever. Again, he's at Akxion Figs. I'm Travis, Mr. Wundrful, or the Mr. Wonderful, as I like to overrate myself with.
The Mr. Wonderful.
The Mr. Wonderful. And, together we are the ToyLeet, and we get together and we talk about, as I refer to it as our plastic passion, action figures and the action figure adjacent, which could be a comic book. It could be, a TV show. I know Deadpool's coming out, movie, the Deadpool movie number 3 is coming out. So, we try to stay in the loop on some of the crossovers there, X-Men 97, things like that we discuss, get into different things. We have a normal set of topics that we like to talk about. We'll go through some news. Key thing about the news is we don't just talk about everything. We do collect, things that are in the mainstream. But what we typically talk about here is the independent toy lines and such. So we try to focus on that, give everybody, insight into some of the things that may not be getting the attention, as frequently as possible. You want that mainstream stuff. You got our buddies over at A Punk with Toys, Unboxing Art. Those guys do a ton of good shows throughout the week. Brick something, he does, mainstream on some things with the bigger items, but focuses a lot of the independent stuff also, like ourselves. So go check those guys out. Awesome shows for more mainstream stuff. But we stick to the independent toy lines, always adding new icons onto the news. We also have our ToyLeet or ToyLeet section, which is, a highlight of something we recently picked up that we decide whether it's going to go on the shelf or get the flusher.
Or
Haven't had
float.
too many flushers, a couple. We did have a floater, a
We did have a
hopeful
floater.
floater.
Yeah, one of those
And
bad
then
boys that just wouldn't go down.
exactly, exactly. And then we always have one of the things that I know is near and dear, true to you, Ed, is comes over from the original portion of your show when you were working with your son. That shout out from the crick, which is where we take a few minutes, just to champion someone in the community. I know some people aren't fans of the word community, but again, community is a collective of people who have a common interest, and that's what we
We're
are.
more than a community. We're a brotherhood.
We're a brotherhood. We're the ToyLeet, but it's a shout out to somebody within the brotherhood, and we try to give that every every week. This week, I know we got someone out there we want to give a shout out to, and then we always have a main topic, and the main topic is something we touch on. Where it's got
We
some
try not
core
to be like
pieces.
that show on Monday, the night before us, where they just ramble on for 3 hours without ever getting to a topic, even though he clickbaits the hell out of his thumbnails every week.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have a topic, but I'm here to talk.
Yeah. I'm never going to make it my 3 hours, but if I keep rambling on enough about nothing, I'll make it my 3.5 hours.
And I mean, he plays that Hella Joke commercial like a dozen times.
Yeah,
and let's be honest, most people just turn in for Roman,
Yeah.
or that's
and the fact that he can't read, it takes him 10 minutes to read a three-word chat. So I mean,
Oh, that's why I always put in my dirty chats on his channel, because by the time he gets to the end of it and he's read it, he's already said 90% of the bad things. So that's what I go for. But yeah, so that's the gist of us. And again, we just have a brotherhood here within the community. That's how Ed and I got together and started doing this show. But yeah, so Ed, it's been like 2 weeks. I know last week you had a show and you had the wonderful Ted Darklaw. It was
yes.
Ed and Ted's Great Adventures. I'm sure there'll be a sequel. There was for the movies, so
that's right.
At some point, I'm sure there will be. He covered
in my car right above the radio in my car. I have a sticker that says "Be excellent to each other."
Awesome. And I always go with the "Be wonderful," but it's okay. Yeah. How's the last couple of weeks been, man? I know you had a guest last week.
It's been crazy busy. I started a new job, and today and yesterday was my first days actually in the office for full shifts, which it's been a year since I've worked a full shift in an office.
Whew. I didn't know Hella Dope Toys had an office.
Oh, that's my real job. This is my side gig.
I got you. This is your side hustle.
Yeah, this is my side hustle.
Cool, man. Right. Congratulations. Happy to see you. See you getting back into the grind, brother. I know those first couple of weeks can be a hassle though, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just exhausting, right? Like it's draining because it's a change. You're taking so much in, all that stuff. But yeah, that's awesome. Cool. What else, brother?
So I wasn't able to get down there because of the job thing, but my daughter graduates from Air Force Basic Training tomorrow.
Oh, well, thank you to your daughter. Thank you to you and your family for letting her do her part.
My son and my other daughter are all down there to watch her. So I'm planning on going down probably at the end of August, first week of September, because she's staying in the same base for her job training. So
cool.
I'll probably fly down there to see her then when I've got a couple of weeks in at the job and stuff. And it's not such a big deal to leave after, I didn't want to start and then work 5 days and say peace out. I got to take a week off, so.
Yeah, definitely. No, that adds a little bit of complexity.
And I didn't want to wait, didn't want to postpone working for another 5 days either, because I really needed to get going. So
yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome.
How about you? Deal. I know you had a good weekend celebrating with the HR department.
Yeah, I didn't get in too much trouble.
That's good.
I still fully employed, which is good. It's been a couple of weeks, man. So the last time we checked in, here, I had some travel out to Toronto, which was freaking awesome. Toronto is an amazing city. I love it. It's got great transit. It's pretty clean for the most part where we were. Yeah. They've got an amazing baseball stadium. Love going out there. The stadium was it's beautiful.
Toronto is actually a pretty underestimated or underdeserved, whatever the right word is.
Underappreciated, probably.
Underappreciated. Yeah, that's a good word for it. And they have
Absolutely.
a wonderful musical district, and a beautiful, like that part of Canada from Niagara Falls on the Canadian side up to Toronto is just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was beautiful. Like, it wasn't too bad. We hustled it out there on the 3rd, got out there overnight, checked in, spent the day on Thursday, which was, the July 4th. I was out of the country, but we always make it like a consistent thing to go, to a
Celebrating
baseball
July
game.
4th like a true New Yorker, right? Getting the hell out of New York.
We typically go to a baseball game, so that's what we did. We just did it outside the U.S. at the Blue Jays, and it was amazing. If anyone ever has a chance to get out to that stadium, even I'm not a baseball fan, I don't really watch it, but baseball is just simply amazing. The stadium there they have is amazing. It's clean. The seats are great. Like just the venue as a whole was awesome. We ended up going to the CN Tower, which is like right next door, and it's that big tower that you go up, and I don't
Been
even
to
know
the
how high
top.
it is.
Can you go to the top
we
still?
went. You can go up to like one of the top spots. It costs like an extra $10 a person or whatever. But we ended up doing that, and it was good. I will say that I almost passed out going up. I don't know why. I know I am nervous of heights, but looking out at the elevator as I watched us go up, I know I was perfectly fine, but it just started making me a little woozy, and I just closed my eyes. So being honest, it was rough.
Do they still have the
Um,
restaurant that spins around at the top? They used to, I
yeah,
haven't been there.
I tried to get reservations to it the day of, which isn't a practical approach because I didn't know much about it. It would have been a really good way to early celebrate my wife's birthday, but it was like they want you to spend like $75 for a kid
Oh,
minimum and like
yeah.
$100 and something a person adult minimum. So it would have been a fairly expensive dinner.
Yep.
So I'm happy they were reserved, so I didn't have the urge to do it. But yeah, we didn't see that, but I definitely would be something I would go back for. And then I got to go to Money in the Bank, which was my big pickup. I won. I have the Money in the Bank, so come and get it, boys.
I don't know about that. I saw the son of Wonder walking around with that briefcase. So did you steal it from him?
I cashed in on him. I
Oh,
pulled
you
the dad
cashed in on
tag.
him?
Yeah, I pulled the dad tag. Actually, what was really cool is everybody, a lot of fans, they run around with the belts, the replica belts, and my brother-in-law is there with us, and he sees me get this, he's like, oh, give me it. So he gets it. He runs up to like a pair, a dad and his son, teenage son who's carrying the belt, and he hands the case to his dad, and he tries to goof with the kid like he's going to take him for his belt. So we had a blast, and everybody was so cool.
That's awesome.
It was amazing experience. I had such a blast. We did a few other things while we were there. The day after, we stopped at Niagara Falls on the way home to make sure my oldest, and that was the cool thing. My oldest son, he didn't go out with us to the baseball game, but he flew out on the Saturday, flew into Toronto, met us in downtown Toronto, and then went to the show with me and my youngest and my brother-in-law and nephew. So there was a pack of 5 of us there, and it was it's just a great event. And then fast forward this past weekend, the 9 to 5 was really like, 4 to midnight Monday and Tuesday. So I was doing quite a bit of work down in the city. I had to go down to New York City for a couple days for some work stuff. So I couldn't attend the last week's meeting or last week's stream here. And then celebrated my wife's birthday over the weekend, and celebrated that. Went away to some Watkins Glen waterfalls here in West.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful park, man. Watkins Glen,
yeah, it's
beautiful.
It's
gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Yeah, we went there. Then on Saturday night, we did a little boat cruise, sunset boat cruise, dinner boat cruise thing with the kids and my wife. So enjoyed ourselves, and then got back into the grind yesterday. It's like the whole time's like meshed, but so long. And did get a few pickups though.
Yeah, me
But
too. I got to
hit up the chat.
Yeah, let's hit up the chat, and then we'll cruise into the pickups. So first, because if you're not first, you're last. We got Roll Keeper. What's up, Roll Keeper? And then we got Old Fat Dread, or as I call him, FU, Mr. Foo. Says Ed and Travis, what's up? And we are officially a toy stream because we got Nolan in the house.
What's up, brother?
Nolan? And we got the Brickster. Wait, I got to show this. I finally went to a correct barber and got the brick hairdo.
Oh man, you're rocking it, dude. You just got to come to Eastern New York. I hook you up with my barber. His name is my son.
Yeah. Well, my daughter used to cut my hair, but she's in the Air Force now, so it's kind of hard to get that done. But yeah, Went to the guy I used to go to a while ago and said, I got to do something different. So I said, I need the brick, and walked out looking like this. I don't have to do it. I just wake up spitting this awesomeness because I said I need the brick.
Good
And
deal.
then we got True Star Screamer, or Trust the Screamer, or some other word that has reamer in it, but he doesn't like. So he has arrived, and no, he did not hit 500. So he was shouted out on Hella Dope on Sunday night to reach 500. If he reaches 500 before next Sunday, Ted and Aaron will do a giveaway of a Father Christmas or a Blue Hagnon figure, your choice.
Oh shit! I missed it. I still got to play catch up on the Hella Dope show. I didn't get a chance to catch up.
Today, I believe Trust the Screamer is at 492. So he's only 8 away.
Go.
He's only 8 away. So if you haven't followed on YouTube's Trust the Screamer yet, go over there and give him a follow. It's a YouTube. It says it just like his name right there, Trust the Screamer. And then, of course, we already brought him up, but we have Mr. Ted Darkclaw in the house.
What's up, Ted? Thanks for covering last week, brother.
Here's for you.
Oh,
you're so incredible. Hey,
no,
Mr. Wonderful.
There's a song. There's a song.
I know. You guys are singing it. I don't know how it goes. I'm not cultured like that.
I have like 7 Mr. Wonderful songs on my Apple download playlist. It's like a Mr. Wonderful playlist when I just need ego pumping and I need to go into something.
Yeah, because you need that a lot.
Like, I got this.
Your ego's not big enough. Yeah.
It's so big I can't even capture the size of my head within the frame of my photo here.
Most people don't know this, but I'm actually blown up and Travis has shrunk just so we can fit his head in that box. So we got the Briscoe hanging out with us. What's up, Briscoe?
Yeah.
And a bunch of in talking, everybody saying, hey, howdy, hey, glad to see that. And we will get to this a little bit later, but anybody backing the Brutal Realms Kickstarter, yep, we'll be talking about that soon. And I showed this. Toronto is flooded right now, according to Briscoe, which is crazy. But
man,
we've gotten some heavy rains. I don't know if you've gotten them.
We had tornado warnings today. Like tornadoes touched down just a little west of us, to the point where about 5 o'clock I went in the basement with the wife and kids.
It was pouring out here earlier, like downpour where you couldn't even see it. And
that's how it was here for a little bit.
We had a tornado warning or whatever the lowest category is, but never saw anything. And then we got Joe G. What's up, Joe? And you ready?
I'm ready.
Can you dig it, sucker?
I can't do it the way Aaron can, but I put something together for us, Northern. So hopefully that does it a somewhat of a justice.
And that is so let me go grab the link. Go ahead and go ahead and start sharing
I'll talk about a couple of my bets here.
Talk about your pickups. I'm going to go grab Trust the Screamer's link.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got a few things. Some of them were in the basement. They ended up there. I got the big thing for me is I did get the Money in the Bank briefcase, which is awesome because I feel special with it. It's going to find a place up there with my wrestling figures on the shelf next to that collection because that's cool. I'm going to use that whenever I get a chance to go to events and stuff and get autographs. So it's pretty pumped about that. I did get something I haven't opened yet. And this is the big one Hella Dope Toys sent me. And I was lucky enough to get an order in, even after they said they weren't selling anymore. It said sold out or orders were over. I was able to get this order in just by reaching out to Hella Dope Toys and making sure they opened it back up so we could place more orders. And I was able to do that back, I don't know, many, many months ago when I was really getting heavy into the fantasy stuff. So I got this Conan, but I haven't opened it, but I've seen a crap ton of pictures. What did you get this week, Ed?
So I got a couple of things in. First, I got the Patch and Mr. Fix-It 2-pack. Pretty cool.
Nice.
Boys from Hella Dope sent that over to me.
Good deal.
Pretty cool set. I did a stop motion with these two guys in my Gomez that's actually in the same outfit. So I'm going to figure out, I got to find the Indiana Jones from the Club Obi-Wan with his white tux on, and then I'm going to have a full on set of tuxedoed, white tuxedo dudes. And for the thing that you got, I actually opened mine because, you know,
Oh, you got yours?
I don't let things
darn.
sit in the box.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So, I mean, does it make sense to do this?
God, if you have a weak stomach, you may stop right here. Anybody hungry?
So I got the Mezco Conan, King Conan, which is the third released Conan figure from Mezco. I missed that on the first two. Just first of all, I missed the first one because I didn't even know it was out there. And the second one, I missed the pre-orders. So when this one came up and I saw it drop at Helidope, I was like, oh yeah, I got to have that. So ran out there and pre-ordered it from Helidope. Comes a really cool 3 different heads, and all 3 of them are really awesome. I really like this head the best though. Gonna try to grab at least the heads off of the off one of the original 2 releases, just so I can have one of the plain heads, because the figure's awesome. The chainmail is real chain, really done, really well done chainmail, and I don't think this one's going to go down the toilet or even float. This one is going to go up on the top shelf.
Yeah,
The top shelf.
Yeah. I haven't gotten around to it. I just started opening my box while you were doing your review, but just checking out the weapons and sheets.
Man,
this
they
is,
have.
I think,
There's lots of cool weapons.
Is Gomez and all them, are they Mezco too? Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I think the first one I had one of those street guys with a pan of spray paints, and I think he was like blue or green.
Oh, you had one of the vapors.
Yeah, I had a vapor figure.
Yeah.
I got it online for pretty cheap, and then I ended up selling it because it didn't fit in with what I was trying to collect.
Yeah,
and
I got the vapor guy that was like the last one they did, where he was like the Irish looking dude. He's got the ripped up sweater and
okay.
hat on.
Yep.
I had him for a little while. Took some really great pictures, but I ended up selling him because the guy was looking for him, and he didn't fit into my collection.
Yeah, I love it. It's just not big enough. I'm not into the lore of it and stuff, but I think they look cool. But this is like my first Mezco that I'm going to hold on to, and I think he's going to fit perfect against.
Oh, he'll fit perfect into your whole little world you got building there. Yep.
Yeah, he's going to definitely fit into the Lemurians.
He's a little bit shorter. Like this is the Zedre. Zedre is about the same size as Mythic Legions, so he's a little bit shorter, but like fits right in. You know what I mean? Because he's bulky. He's bulky enough. You know what I mean? He's got enough.
Mass. Well, he's from what I've seen in the pictures, he's very close to the what's the girls that do it? The Frazetta girls.
Yeah.
Very close in size to the Frazetta girls.
Yeah. That too.
And I think someone just joined the chat. So why don't you throw that?
Wait a minute. We had 2 people. Let's pop in here and say what's up to Jeff. Jeff was our Skunk Works, was a guest of ours on the G.I. Joe Fest celebration. Sir. And then we got this guy.
Comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money.
No, we did not talk G.I. Joe yet, because that's not our channel. We watch a guy on Monday nights that's supposed to do that. Totally let us down last night. Cried all night long about how much he loves Viper Island and whether he should be buddies with the guy or not.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I sent him a text.
Actually, real quick.
Respond.
Yeah, real quick. Punk did discuss this last night. Around the 26th of October, he's going to try to do like a 24 to 36 hour marathon to raise money for Toys for Tots. So if anybody's looking to donate or whatever, there'll be more coming out.
I don't know if you're losing connection or if I am, Ed.
Or if you want to donate privately to Sergeant Red's or some collaboration with Sergeant Red's toy store in Michigan, which is Punk's favorite toy store.
Yeah, and you may just need to repeat some of that stuff because I think I was getting a little lag. I don't know if it was my end or yours. Hopefully it is audible for others.
Anyway, Punk's gonna do a 36-hour marathon to raise money for Toys for Tots, probably around the end of October.
Awesome.
So that way he can get the money in by mid-November and be able to pass it on. So
Awesome.
Fat Red Foo said it
Cool.
was me.
Yeah, awesome. Good to know. Yeah, so
Yep.
we'll continue to share that. Definitely share the love on that. 10. Okay. I'm not completely sure. So
Hey,
awesome. Good deal.
I live out in
Cool,
the middle
man.
of nowhere. I don't have gremlins like Mr. Largo. I have giant spiders that get into the lines and interfere with the Wi-Fi signal.
Good deal. So, jumping into the next piece, right? Kind of going into our standard activity, we have, the main topic that we're going to be going through tonight, which is the why do you collect and really the psychology behind the collecting. So we'll take quite a bit into this. We'll dive into the reasons, the why, some personal history, and then open it up for you guys. But before we get in there, a little preview.
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was. To find the toys is my real test. To collect them is my cause. Mr. Wundrful and Akxion Figs. Together they're ToyLeet, and then lead the way. For shelves to hearts, we capture dreams every single day. Why do you collect? Gotta collect them all. Pieces of the past, big and small. From childhood dreams to passions and new. ToyLeet treasures, it's what we do. Each toy's the journey, adventures unfold, heroes and dreams, stories told, battles fought, victories grand, and in our collections we understand. What do you collect? Gotta collect them all. Pieces of the past, big and small, from childhood dreams to passions and new. ToyLeet treasures, it's what we do. ToyLeet treasures, it's what we do. Each toy's a journey, adventures unfold, heroes and dreams, stories told. Battles fought, victories grand, in our collections we understand. Toy to do, she understand. Why do you collect? Gotta collect them all. Pieces of the past, big and small, from childhood dreams to passions and new. ToyLeet treasures, it's what we do. So it's our destiny, we know it's our true fate. Mr. Wundrful and Akxion Figs, collecting's never late. From rare finds to shelves stacked high, in ToyLeet's world our spirits fly. Why do you collect? Let your heart reflect. In ToyLeet's world we all connect. Like, subscribe, and share the test. Why do you collect? ToyLeet's the best.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I was waiting
So,
for that last thing. I was a little early on it though.
Yeah. So gotta collect them all.
Gotta collect them all. Let's pop through the chat real quick, and then
Yes,
because
sir.
we've got some new people coming in, and then we can do the next part. So
Sounds
it says Patch Storyline and Mr. Fix It were two awesome comic book arcs. Yep, definitely.
I don't know why that's happening. Give me a second.
And
Sorry.
Tony's Figs is here. What's up, bros? What's up, Tony? And Brick says he collects because reality's a shitter. He does it to collect.
I hear you, I hear you.
Trust the Screamer says he does it because it's a dopamine boost.
Which makes sense why he goes to Hella Dope Toys to buy his toys.
That's right. And Jeff passed on the King Conan but it looks awesome. Yeah, you're missing out, dude. It's a great figure.
I think we lost you again, Ed. I think you're having some storms out there. But yeah, Joe. And then we got Rocco the Great. Thank you, brother. Love what you're doing out there with your island stuff there, man. I'm losing you a ton, Ed. Your audio is really dropping.
I know. We're getting a bit.
Sorry.
We got a storm coming through right now, so we'll have
Gotcha.
to just roll with it. But Rocco,
Yeah.
thanks for showing up, brother. Yes,
Yeah, thank you.
smash the like button like always.
Thank you, sir. And
And
go check out Rocco the Great stuff too. He's got some cool. I always forget the term he uses, but it's stuff he creates on his own, and it's a unique kind of.
He's got his
approach.
System Island or
System Island.
Like
yep.
Yeah.
With the just can't think of what he calls it. Yeah, the goose
Baba.
Yep.
And
cool
Joe,
stuff.
I've got to say the toy communities I'm part of and make collecting more fun by multiples. Yep, exactly. We got some good.
There it is.
Yeah, Goose Gang. And yes, Brick, that was the new Wild Stallions.
Yeah, I somehow got mixed up in my slide stories at the end.
What's that?
I somehow ended up at the end of the slides and not the beginning. I don't know how that happened. So I'm going to jump here to that. Awesome. So now, what time it is, right?
Down by the creek where the water flows, we're shouting out to those who know. Spreading joy, sharing love, ToyLeet fam, you rise above. Shout out from the creek, you're the best. Hype up the heroes who passed the test. Community stars shining bright. Lifting each other, it feels so right.
And Ed, you want to bring them in?
Absolutely. This week's shout out from the crick is this awesome dude right here, Daniel Feeney, aka the Roll Keeper. He has some awesome photographs on his Instagram. Doesn't do a lot on YouTube, but his Instagram page is full of some amazing pictures of all sorts of different things. Roll Keeper is always in our chat, always in Hella Dope, always in Punks and everybody else's chat. Hangs out on the clubhouse sometimes. So yeah, really cool guy. So if you're not following Roll Keeper on the old IGs, go on over there to his page and give him a follow. You can see it right there at the top of the picture. I'll take his name off so you can see the whole screen. And yeah. Roll Keeper, you're the shout out from the creek this week, brother.
Yes, you are. And I thought it was funny. You said he doesn't do a lot on YouTube, right? But he's always in the freaking chat. So that's one of the reasons, right? He's always in the chat. And
that's right.
You know, you know. So Roll Keeper, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Awesome.
So I got to bring this up. Punk says, Ted Darklaw, one of us has to start paying Ed so he can get better internet. And Ted comes back with this fucking comment. He'll just blow it on toys, and put him in the mud.
Yeah,
true.
You know what? Those two should point the finger. It should be like it should be a picture of Ted and a picture of Punk, and then you should have what's his name? Why can I not think of him? The guy on Friday night. Why can I not think of his name? You mod for him too.
Oh, Radnom.
Yeah, you should just should be like that Spider-Man meme that you always see where the three of you guys are pointing at each other, and it should be like, "Nah, you're paying." Yeah. And you'd have Punk, Ted, and Radnom in there. So they should have Radnom pay the bill.
Wait till I get Conan out in the mud. People are going to cry.
Oh, man. I don't think you need to put him in the mud. But
he's going in the mud. He's going in the creek.
So next is...
if I'm going to do this, I'll need my news team at my side.
On today's news, with all seriousness, we got a few slides here we're going to jump into. Like we said, we talk about the independent toy lines. We like to focus on the things that maybe not getting as much attention as they should, and also a lot of folks that in most cases are some folks within the community. So we'll jump in first. Animal Warriors: The Kingdom. Just a little brief update on that is that the creative team over there at Spiro. They're continue to actively develop the Primal Series 2 figures. There's a various stages of progress, including accessory, digital sculpting, and some of the engineering for articulation tooling, and finalizing some paint masters based on their most recent post last week. They'll have their weekly update, I assume, tomorrow, as they're pretty consistent with giving us updates on Wednesdays. I know they were slacking a bit while one of the guys was traveling the world, seeing places, but he's smooth talking and has the hair, so he gets away with that
like
stuff.
I said, I went to their booth at Joe Fest, and they're all sitting around with their feet up on the table, not doing a damn thing. They're like, yeah,
Well,
these figures are so cool. We don't have to do anything. That's basically what they were
that,
doing.
that's what I was thinking.
It's just like, yeah, whatever. Don't have to even work for this.
That's what I was thinking. It's just got some images. This is a little bit older because I wasn't here last week, so we didn't do the news the way we normally would. But these are some of the Brewdocs and the alt heads and some Paintmaster images that they had out there from the last time. Which you guys know me, huge AWOC supporter, huge AWOC fan, and I've been easy on Brick and Adam and Jason. I haven't reached out too much asking where my stuff is yet, so I'll give them a couple more weeks. It's a busy summer, so. Yeah.
I think Adam's a little lonely though. He might need some emails,
Yeah. Maybe I should send him some. And I did recently see that they were coming up on the last couple days to go to your local comic book shop and order your issue number 3 if you haven't done that. So get out there. Really cool lore. That's one of the big things that attracts me to this line. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely go give it a look. You can get it. They can order it right from Diamond, I think, is the group that they get the distro through. So any local comic book shop should be able to grab that for you. That's still working with them. Next, that's going to bring me here. So this one's going to be a little bit longer winded because there's quite a bit of news. This has failed. It's not going to happen, and they pulled it off the books. No, that's not the case. They just went live with their Kickstarter. I think it was yesterday that they went live.
Yep.
And as you can see, as of a couple hours ago, they're at about $17,000 of the total amount of $140,000 they're trying to get to. They already got 126 backers, and they still got 44 days to go. You can see that they have quite a, you can see in the images that are in that video. Go check it out on the Kickstarter. In the description of this YouTube video, there should be a quick link to the Kickstarter. So again, something I should say, I mean to say this every time and sometimes I forget, we share toys, independent toys, we share adjacent things, and a lot of that stuff ends up being Kickstarter related, and as a result, we're not telling you or we're not inclined to do this because we're benefiting. We just share the information related to the Kickstarters that are of interest to us. Will we back these? Probably, because I'm a plastic junkie. Ed, probably because he likes these big, masculine, bulky dudes that are going to go smash.
I do like big, masculine, bulky dudes, Travis. You're right. Thanks.
I'm going to have to cut that and add that to like a little sound bit that we can play whenever we see cool plastic. But I think Six Shooter might have done this photo.
I believe Six Shooter was doing pictures for them. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's who was doing it.
Trevor.
But these are some cool items. Yeah, that's who it is. And this is the first of their line they're working on. Go check it out. We'll keep this weekly. No, Punk, you have so much money. You don't even know what to do with it. So go back this line. We their Kickstarter, they were founded by toy collectors in the community. Brutal Realm, it's a toy line inspired by mythos. They've got history and culture. 1/12 scale. I remember when I first started seeing these, I was like, they're too bulky, Ed. I don't think they'll fit with what I'm looking for. I asked them questions of some of the people posting the photos. Brick was one of the first ones to kind of say, no, I think they'll be fine. And others, they've got some unique characters, which I'll show on the next screen.
But we based our initial opinion on that first set of 3D renders that they put out. And a lot of those figures, not only were they really bulky, they were very square, right? They were very blocky. And they have definitely improved with their 3D renders and everything else where they started from. So,
yep, absolutely. And you can see on the Kickstarter, they have like 32 or so points of articulation is what they're saying. You can see they've got your butterfly. You've got your standard kind of articulation you would expect at the 1/12 scale figures, if you're, not looking at like 1/18 stuff. So, I don't have any concerns there. I'm definitely very interested in this because it fits in with the mythos stuff that I'm looking to play with. These guys are going to fit right in with my Savage stuff. They've got, a bunch of different types of characters. One of the things I want to highlight is David Vonner is, one of the renowned figure guys in the industry. If you're not sure of him, he's someone who I wasn't familiar with so much because, again, a lot of my toy line history was with wrestling, which we'll probably talk about a little bit later. during why we collect, right? And then as I've come into things, I've seen his name a lot more frequently across the toy lines and designing and different things. So David Vonner is associated with this, which adds a level of reputation to it. So hopefully everything goes smoothly here. We know it's a Kickstarter. There's going to be bumps along the way. If you want to see this come to fruition, put your money where your mouth is, and let's see where it goes. And then again, these should be moving forward. I think I don't remember what the target was. 45 days, I think. 44 days left. I think August 30th is the cutoff. So you've got through the summer. You got some pictures here of Cronin, and Ugan. I'm murdering names, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But these are the base from the initial. So Vonner is a Marvel Legends legend. That's where I knew his name from.
Yep.
Thank you, Brick. These three characters, way improved in my opinion compared to where we saw them during some of the first images that had come out. And these are the three from the base offering that they're looking to do from the initial goal. But they do have some stretch goals, which I do have some of those images here. And one of the first
similar to Mythic Legions, they're going to be doing some like homage characters, right? So they have like a He-Man, escape, esque.
Well, you've got the one to the left here, which I think is like a He-Man.
Yep.
Ish, like he looks a little He-Man.
Yep. He-Man homage.
He's and then you have Cronin. I think he's supposed to be the one in the middle. I think is supposed to be kind of tied to. I thought that was the one that was going to be tied to Thundercats. Is this one? Or is it a different one? Maybe it was a different one.
Yeah, I think that one's supposed to be like King Conan is kind of an homage to him.
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense.
Beard.
That's King Conan. But I think I've seen ones. I don't know if they had made the Kickstarter for the stretch goals yet. Is that
the one that looks like Lino? I don't think made the Kickstarter.
Yeah. Okay, and then you've got some other ones. So you have the first tier unlock is their Chief Mado or Mighty Chief Mado, which has a few weapons here. Some really cool paint deco. The headdress is going to be really cool. Looking forward to that. So I think that'll be cool. Those are screen or unnamed barbarian builders. Oh, yeah. Rick knows more than I do about it. I thought those were certain characters. So I may have missed all that.
Okay. Those aren't the homage characters. Thanks, Brick. Thanks for setting Travis straight. He's got one job, report the fucking news, and he can't even do it right. Jesus.
I told you you heard the intro for it. It says I need my people, right? Like, and
that's right.
The hand horn. That's why Brick's here, man.
Yeah.
Well,
he does do the Brick something new, so that makes sense.
Then you have the Great Khan, who is a second tier unlock at 160. So if they reach 150, we'll see the unlock that I just showed. You'll see this one if you get to the 160,000. Then you have the Owl King, which will unlock at 175. And then you have, which, this one, going back to the Owl King, I think this is interesting. I don't know that I like the helmet so much. Like, it could be unique and it's probably something that would be cool, but it's not something that I feel the need to necessarily have. I would probably get it just to pop the head off and put something else on. What is he saying? The Lion Dude is in the wings. They've got 21 figs total to offer if needed, but right now it's 3 named figs and 3 builders. Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. And Punk, you just disappoint me sometimes, dude. You ignored my text last week, and then that just hurts, dude. Right.
No, he's just being a bully.
Yeah,
just being a bully. He just Mr. 4000, thinks he can walk into anybody's stream and just sling out the insults.
And that next thing you know, he's going to be posting his own links in the stream.
That's right.
Hijacking it,
promoting his own show, talking about his best friend.
Yeah. No. Then so this is the Owl King will lock at 175. Then we have
I like this dude.
Sumerian at 190,000. And again, I don't have all of the weapons that each one of these guys come with. I'll do more specific things to it each week as we're going through things with less. But I wanted to get this in front of folks as soon as possible to try to help generate the support, because I do want to see this fun, because there are some figures I want.
Yeah, I really like this guy.
Even if it doesn't come to fruition, even if it doesn't, it's not perfect, I hope that they continue to scale and grow on it. But I'm starting to feel like this is one that we can see some good success out of with enough
I,
folks. And then they
I
have
think this will have fun for sure. How far down?
Yeah.
How many tiers they unlock? I can't say, but it definitely.
yeah, exactly. And then they also have another one here, which is the Shadar unlocked. It's definitely a Skeletor-esque looking figure. From what I could tell,
You can't have big, heroic, muscular, sweaty dudes that I like without having a villain to fight him.
this one I really like because I feel like this could be a really badass in my Savage Crucible figures.
Oh
like,
yeah, yep.
like aligning with some of those guys and whatnot. So, I love Punk. He's good. So then it looks like Rollkeeper says he backed 3 named and 3 builder bundle. That's cool.
Oh, nice.
I honestly haven't even paid attention to the price yet because I know this came out yesterday. I hadn't had a ton of time to review and analyze exactly what I was going to get, but I will definitely.
You know what I'm going to do after the show's over? I'm going to follow the link that's posted into the description, and then I'm going to.
That's a good idea.
I'm going to go check out the Kickstarter.
That's a pretty good idea. I'm hoping that we get all the way to this one, and I don't normally collect female action figures, but I think it would be cool to have a big, tough, badass female action figure here that could kick the crap out of some of those Lemurians and other figures that I'll have with my Savage Crucibles. So this is Athena, the warrior goddess, and she'll unlock, which it's a pretty big gap. You have, I think the last one I said was 190 for this one here, which is the 4th tier. You've got Shadar at 225, and then you have Athena all the way up at 265. So that's a big stretch goal. But I mean, we've seen other.
She must be who they wrote that song about back for Dirty Dancing. It was called Thunder Thighs. One look from you and I can't disguise that song. You remember that song?
No. I don't remember it. Yeah. But I think this will be a cool figure. I think this will be a cool figure.
Yeah. She looks good
because and it makes sense, right? Like all of the other ones are basically similar bucks and for the most part the same in the head sculpt. This is it makes sense for the jump in the tier that they need to hit to unlock it to get that extra sculpt. And sure. I'm really hoping it gets all the way there, largely due to the part because it opens up the parts library for them to be able to do some additional things
the shield looks
that
really
they may
cool
not be able to do. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the one that's in the He-Man one the Conan one I have sitting on my desk here.
Yeah,
similar to that. I don't know if the detail does, but at least like the shape and everything looks cool. It is just a circle, but so that's that on the brutal realms. But a couple other pictures here you can see. You have like the the comparison to some He-Man figures here. I also have one where it's showing it against some of the different Masterverse figures that are out there in the market today. So. Not quite as big as the He-Man figure, but right on par with the one on the right. What is the one on the right?
That looks like an Origins, maybe.
Is that an Origins? Okay.
Yeah,
because the one on the
got
left
Origins and a Masterverse.
Yeah, Masterverse. That's a little bit bigger, and then that Origins one's a little bit smaller there, so that makes sense. Cool. So that's the Brutal Realm, guys. Go check it out. We'll be keeping you guys updated. We'll be keeping you guys updated every week on that and its progress to continue to track that, remind folks to get out there and back it, see if we can get to see how deep we can get into the stretch goals because I'm really excited to see that. That brings us to a new image here, a new toy line that we're promoting or reviewing and taking a look at, and that's the fish toys here. This one
said that was a Motu Classics, so not an Origins. Motu Classics. Okay,
not a Motu guy, right? Like, so
all you gotta do is ask Mr. News, Mr. Brick News himself.
Yeah. I should just have him come in and do our segment every week.
I know, right? We should just bring him in remotely, like live from the news desk.
That would actually be really cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Brick, let's talk.
That's right.
So the next piece here is Fish Toys, and Fish Toys has their. This is what caught my eyes is the horses.
Yes.
So these are some really detailed horses. And what I thought was really cool is they come in multiple colors. So you can see 3 different colors. I kind of want one of each at least. The mounts are cool. These are going to fit perfect with your Legions.
The articulation on these is just incredible, though. I mean, well, you got a couple pictures to show. So
yeah, I got some more pictures here. What I love about these is I can take my AWOC figures and I can put them on a horse like this. And then it's going to remind me of the newest Planet of the Apes movie that I watched. So yeah, that's what I need. All I need is like a cool eagle that I can put on one of them, and then it can be just like the movie. No spoiler. The next piece is kind of covering the height of them. So this is 9 inches long, roughly by 7 inches tall. So it's going to fit perfect with all of those ones that we just talked about. The next image that I have shows it in comparison to what line is this again?
That's one of the Zezray figures.
One of those, right?
That's
Which
the
is
same
kind of in
as
line with.
that's the same as this guy here.
Yep.
So it's about
Okay.
about the same size as most of the Mythic Legions and stuff. Really, really well detailed figures. So yeah, they're
Yeah, and the thing is that I've watched a bunch of reviewers. I have a couple of the horses from the Four Horsemen, and I'm not complaining about them all. They're great horses. They obviously have the plastic, fur, the plastic hair and stuff, manes and whatnot, and tails. These look like there's some sort of fabric mane and hair, which I think are cool.
yeah, they definitely got some fake hair, so they look good.
Yeah, I've seen the reviews of other horses. I know there was one that was like a Spawn, or I'm sorry, McFarlane Build-A-Figure horse that people were fans of during the reviews. But I remember most recently, Savage is like, well, we don't know if we're going to get into horses because like they're already out there. People have already done them. They already do them good. So I'm not going to do something if I can't do it better. And I don't. And at the time, they didn't mention that they could necessarily do anything better. So Fish Toys makes these, and what I thought was cool was I haven't held them in hand, but from what I've seen, and what I've even seen in some of the Mythic Legions forums on Facebook, is that folks are not posting pictures of these, but they are saying, hey, seeing that you can get this additional articulation joint and whatnot in the horses, do we foresee, yes, I can do that, and I probably will. I probably will, Joe. But there's thoughts that, will Mythic Legions up their game in the horses to add some additional articulation there? I wonder if they'll do it, because I know a lot of what they stand on is the fact that
Mythic Legions won't change their articulation just because
I don't think they
some
will.
small third party company is. I mean, it just won't happen.
Yeah, I mean, if you want this, you're gonna have to go out and get it. And my other thought is that typically, they stand on the fact that they don't like the extra cuts in the articulation because it takes away from the sculpt in a lot of cases. So I'm all for it. And what Joe just hit on, competition benefits the consumers, and that's going to be a key topic in next week's main theme too. So some additional pictures here, like the articulation you see in that, it's tremendous. Like you can swivel at the back, hind legs, while still leaving it upright. It's so beautiful. You can see how much you can do with the articulation on this horse. So I will definitely be keeping my eye out on these, and we'll keep you guys updated. And if you haven't checked out Fish Toys, go check them out. They actually have quite a bit of other things that I couldn't get heavily into today as I was reviewing and preparing for this. But I saw some like warthogs, or I saw
they have
a
some
wolf with
awesome
armor
mounts.
on it. They have some really cool mounts that I think
Brick has
could be a go-to.
Yeah, Brick has one of the wolves, I think.
Yeah, no, and what Brick said there, I don't think any of those cuts take away from the figure at all. I think those cuts are perfect, and I think it improves the articulation and the overall use of it. I'd be curious to hold it in hand and get an idea of how the articulation works with it standing, without being, how easy is it, right?
The question is, are these coming with saddles or no?
I don't know, but that's a third-party tool that people can create. Go make them, guys.
Yeah,
someone that's
because
handy and crafty.
Realistically, not that there's a lot of 1/12 scale cowboys out there, but there are, like you have Spirit from G.I. Joe, right? Who's a Native American, and you have other things, right? And you have some Greek and Roman soldiers, you have barbarians, and you could potentially do cowboys, all of which have different saddle styles. So, I mean, it's like, it's going to be interesting to see what that does.
Okay, so Brick says that they will come with that. And yeah, agreed. I'm not being critical of Horsemen. They do good with what they do, and no complaints. Just the stance that I've seen them take previously was that they often aren't going to just make that tweak because of cuts and things like that, which is fine. You can have. I love the fact that I can have these 3 horses. I can have all of those different saber-tooth like mounts, and I can have the horses that I've gotten from Four Horsemen and anyone else. And they're all going to look slightly different, but be in scale and be usable together, which I think is badass.
I mean, you can't be the Four Horsemen and have their way of doing things, right? They've improved. They do some of the best paint and sculpting, right? Their horses are great. You can't just expect them as a company to completely change because Savage Crucible has a couple extra points of articulation, or because Fish Toys comes out with a horse that has, a little bit more articulation in it. I guarantee that this horse is probably not going to be as bulky as the horses for Mythic Legions that are built like war horses, basically, right? So,
yeah. I mean,
quick,
I'm interested.
What's up, Orlando? All right, moving on.
Then from there, Memory Toys. This one's probably been seen by most folks. It's been around for a couple weeks. I missed getting the image in for the last one that I did, and it's basically this like armored mount type orc that was kind of like in a tie-in to the little gremlin orc thing that I kept saying reminded me of my plunderlings, right?
Yeah.
So it's all tied with their stuff there that they had, and thought it was interesting. This was the image that I was able to find still and get in here. Wanted to kind of call out that that is coming at some point, and another cool, interesting mount for those that are into that type of thing. Yeah, cool.
And
the last one,
they're definitely improved. So I mean that's just it, right? But you can't just expect a company to just completely change their whole mode that they've been working in for 10 years just because somebody else is doing something a little different. Improve,
Agreed.
yes. Compete, yes. Change, no. You can't expect somebody to do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they're made the way they want them to be made for a lot of the customizations and different things like that. So, the next one, this is more of an adjacent. It originally started out as a Toyline comic book Kickstarter. I told you guys I would keep an eye on this as it continued to progress. Thought it had limited toy life to start because it didn't really have a huge offering. The Kickstarter wasn't successful. But one of the things that they've been doing is they've been working on promoting more of the comic book, which it sounds like that's the direction they're going to go for the Kickstarter next, to try to get this IP built out. And my guess is that's to try to get some foothold on people who are interested, which goes back to my whole, if you have lore, people are more inclined to check those toys out and get into them. It at least kind of draws them into a degree. So I know that they're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, and it's Jujitsu Fighters is the comic and the toy line that they attempted to launch. It's run by Icon Heroes, and they're going to be doing a limited edition comic book teaser, some 11 by 17 character posters, and a collectible logo pin at San Diego Comic-Con. For those of you that might be in attendance, I would love the pin. I'm a pin junkie, a pin nerd. Let me know if you're going. We can talk. Very much so interested in getting my hands on one of those pins for one of my bags. That would be really cool. But yeah, so they've been promoting that, and additionally, what you'll see on their Instagram is that they've been promoting the different characters from the comic book. And I think today or yesterday's was Shadow Ice, the Snow Leopard, and they have some bios and descriptions about them. So definitely go check them out on Instagram to keep up to date on that. And if you're going to San Diego Comic-Con, and you're interested in checking it out, go check out their booth 3245 and scan their badge, and then follow their Kickstarter campaign to receive those items. I think it's free. You just got to follow that. Awesome. Brick said something about the lore for Brew Realms. I haven't had a chance to get into it heavy, Brick. I did read one thing. I think it was about Crowman, how like he comes from crap and there's a lot of unknown, and I'm probably really simplifying the statement on what I saw. I just haven't had a chance to dive into it, but I'm sure I will, and I'm probably going to be like, a junkie, within a week, promoting it as if it was the next Savage line. But yeah, so go check that out. Jujitsu, they're going to be promoting in their upcoming Kickstarter campaign, so that they can go ahead and, bring that comic to fruition. Do you want to hit the chat real quick?
We got a couple people just popping in and, talking back and forth, but Allison Troy, the Retro Toy Princess, has shown up. Greetings, Allison. Thanks for coming by and stopping in and saying hi. And that's pretty much it. Everybody's just kind of chatting amongst themselves. Cool.
Awesome. Cool. So then what I'll do is I'll just throw up the runner here for the main topic, because that's the time we're at. We're at the why do you collect the psychology.
I'd like to point out that we've only gone for an hour and we're at the topic already. So
Well, not even an hour, 59 minutes, because 10:05 would be an hour. So take
right.
notes, Mr. 4K. Take notes.
That's right.
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was. To find the toys is my real test. To collect them is my cause. Mr. Wundrful and Akxion Figs. Together they're ToyLeet, and then lead the way. For shelves to hearts, we capture dreams every single day. Why do you collect? Gotta collect them all. Pieces of the past, big and small. From childhood dreams to passions anew. ToyLeet treasures, it's what we do. Each toy's the journey, adventures unfold, heroes and dreams, stories told, battles fought, victories grand, and in our collections we understand. What do you collect? Gotta collect them all. Pieces of the past, big and small, from childhood dreams to passions anew. ToyLeet treasures, it's what we do. ToyLeet treasures, it's what we do. Each toy's a journey, adventures unfold, heroes and dreams, stories told. Battles fought, victories grand, in our collections we understand. Toy do, she understand. Why do you collect? Gotta collect them all. Pieces of the past, big and small, from childhood dreams to passions anew. ToyLeet treasures, it's what we do. ToyLeet's our destiny, we know it's our true fate. Mr. Wundrful and Akxion Figs, collecting's never late. From rare finds to shelves stacked high, in ToyLeet's world our spirits fly. Why do you collect? Let your heart reflect. In ToyLeet's world we all connect. Like, subscribe, and share their zest. What do you collect? ToyLeet's the best.
Why do you collect?
I collect because when I open up plastic like this and I smell it, it smells so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do.
That's that dopamine that
Oh.
Keeper was talking about.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
This guy's 60 years old. He still smells good.
Absolutely. So, we're going to talk tonight's topic is the why do we collect, right? So the idea here, oh man, sorry, I collect because it's so cool. And this chainmail, man, I was going to
Chainmail's some pretty cool shit, isn't it?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's clean. Sorry. Definitely. Oh man. Conan smells so good.
Yeah.
I want to stick a deodorant that smells like him.
I always
That'd
say,
be
man,
awesome.
opening a Mezco is a whole experience.
Oh, I've never opened one like brand new, but this thing
Yeah.
is beautiful. Sorry, I should save that for the after show. It's getting a little graphic here.
Yeah.
Only plastic. You guys can check us out over there. Going back into the main topic, though, why do we collect, right? So, I'm Mr. Wundrful, right? Ed, Akxion Figs. We collect, right? We collect plastic. We collect toys. What we love, right? There's many different reasons why. I think Ed can collect. I think his reasons might be slightly different than mine. And the same with the chat, right? There's going to be different things that each of you guys may collect for. I saw Brick mention to get away from the world, right? Because some days suck, right? And it's cool to step away from some of that shitty stuff every now and again. That said, we're going to go over some of the psychological drivers, which I kind of alluded to. We'll talk about the types of collectors, right? There's different types of collectors. There's cultural factors that come into play. There's personal stories, which, Ed, I think you and I will both cover on, one or two of our own personal, stories, which we may have already touched on in the past to some degree. We'll talk about some tips for, collectors and how you're getting into collecting and, what you can do as a collector. And then we'll ask you your why. Why do you collect, right? So we'll jump into that. But first, let's talk about the drivers of collecting. So Ed, one of the first things I think right off the top, right? To me, one of the drivers of collecting is nostalgia.
I
Would you
would
disagree?
say I would say nostalgia is probably the biggest driver of collecting in today's world.
Absolutely,
And I
absolutely.
mean, it's not
You
just
know,
action figure collecting, right? I mean, there's plenty of older people that are collecting dolls. There's older people collecting, vinyl and sports memorabilia
coins.
yeah, coins and stamps and
Yeah,
everything else, right? And then I think probably nostalgia, just going back to a simpler time, back to your childhood, is just one of the biggest, drivers of collecting for sure.
absolutely. I think nostalgia, right? It's so many things. It's look, it's feel, it's smell, it's taste, right?
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think
we
of
we
so
have
often.
we have Adam highly articulated who collects spoons, and that's really a nostalgia thing that he started when he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
young, right? I mean, it's like,
absolutely. Yeah. I think of I don't think anybody wants that. Joe, I think that's just
we don't like being broke. That's
there's
just
a
a side
cause and
effect of collecting.
there's a cause and a cause and effect of collecting. I collect cause I like to, and the effect is no money in my wallet.
That's right.
No, absolutely, man. This figure is beautiful, dude. They did such a good
Yeah,
job of
dude.
it. Um, so and I was saying before how the look, smell, sound, right? Like certain songs bring me back to a time and place. Um, you know, the smell of this plastic, right, brings you back to a time and a place, right? Like when you last or maybe first opened one. So I think a lot of it goes to those things. It might be that nostalgia factor that I don't remember who it was that I was listening to recently, but there was one of the streams. I think it might have been during. Oh, you know what? It was actually on Brick's. It was on Brick's show when we did his Joe one. We were talking about, and we talked about how you know, I think it was Bricks. We talked about how you know, maybe it was no. Actually, I'm sorry. It was Punk. It was Punk that got the toys. Sorry, it was Punk. It was all the GI Joe stuff. But we had Punk on, and he talked about a time where he remembered, his dad.
Oh
Him
yeah.
asking
Yep.
his dad for a Joe, and he told them that his dad says, "Oh yeah, but you should probably get two, right?" Like you remember that
Yep.
nostalgia, that feeling. It brings you back to that time you got into
Yeah.
things, and some people's parents aren't here anymore, and it gives you a chance to have a symbolic relationship with that person who may not be physically there, but now you've got something that brings you close together. For me, I'm not as close to my father as I once was, and he's still here, but I have comics that go back to when he was, he had when he was a kid that I have.
Yeah.
So when I open those up and I think back to and I read a comic book, a Captain American Falcon, it brings back that nostalgia in the moment. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is that, right? Is that
Yeah. I have
it
I
brings you
have
back to
my
a place in time.
I have my dad's a bunch of his original Matchbox cars that he had from when he was a kid, right? My dad is a car guy through and through. He's worked on cars. He's a mechanic as his career, his whole life. Always liked cars. I was never a big car guy. I liked, muscle cars. I like the way they look, but working on them, all that stuff. Can I do it? Yes. Do I enjoy it? I'd rather drive it to a shop. I've taken my cars over to my dad and tell him to fix it, and I'll sit there on the steps and drink coffee and watch them. So I
Yep,
mean,
yep. I
but
can relate
I
to
love to
that. It's
drive
not
them.
my
I
thing.
love the way they look. I love the way old muscle cars sound. But like looking at those Matchboxes and knowing that he played with those cars as a kid, and that's what really got him started down the path of just being this car guy. Is just it's a cool feeling to be able to touch back to that time of life and those memories. It's kind of like
Yeah.
Punk talks about his flag that he's got to brag about having all the time, but part of the story is that his dad got him 8 shipwrecks because you got to have crewmen for your flag, but
Are
a
you
lot of
are you
people,
reading from a script there, Ed?
I've
'Cause,
heard that story
I don't
so
know if
many
you
times
saw
I
that.
can't even, and then what Punk doesn't, a lot of people don't know that Punk last year or 6 months ago, whenever it was, when Classified released Shipwreck, he got that figure for his dad for his
Oh,
birthday or
that's
something.
awesome.
So as kind
That's
of
so
a,
cool.
return of the nostalgia,
And of
So,
course, with that money that he has, he didn't
yeah,
buy eight for his dad.
yeah.
Come on, man, Punk. Up your game, man. No, but
Yeah, why only one? What the hell, punk?
yeah, sorry, I'm opening this figure right
That's all
now
right.
as I sit next to it, so you may be hearing that. I
So yeah, I would
apologize.
definitely say that nostalgia is the number one driver for collecting in
Yeah,
today's society. As far
yeah,
as,
I think
psychological and stuff, I mean, the main reason a lot of people collect is ultimately the nostalgia.
yeah. No, I think that hits on pretty close to the spot there. I also think that another one is social connection, and I think this one is very prevalent in certain things. Right. I'm actually going to tap Four Horsemen for this. They've done such a good job of creating the cabal that I think that there's folks that are part of that dug even deeper because of that social connection. Because they have specific conventions they can get together and shoot the shit with, and
Yeah.
there's that. There's a lot of things that go into it, and again, we it's its own deep episode and
Well, if you think
whatnot
about
into
it,
how they've done it.
even on a smaller scale, right? You take the guys over at Hella Dope Toys, who I've become, and you have as well, become pretty close with Aaron and Ted, right?
Yeah,
And you and I, had we not been in the Hella Dope chat together, would not be friends. I mean, we might be, we not know who each other are, but we probably wouldn't have become as friends as we have. Same with Mr.
right.
Largo, right? I probably wouldn't be as good of friends with Jim if I never, popped into the Hella Dope thing. So that sense of, socialism and community and brotherhood and all that stuff really has a lot to do with it. And, as many people like to say, oh, I'm not influenced by reviews, which I'm not influenced by reviews. But if I see you collecting Savage Crucible, or I see, the guys collecting, Mythic Legions or He-Man or G.I. Joe or Valaverse or whoever it is, it makes you want to at least try one of the figures just to see what it's all about, because you want to belong, right? Everybody wants to belong.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think that's a huge piece, right? You see it in a lot of things. So absolutely. Um, Sorry, just trying to find my notes here. Sorry.
You're
So Joe says here, he says, I was anti-social and then discovered Mythic Legions. If that's true, then you hit my point spot on there,
Yep.
Joe. Like it gives you that ability, like to dive into something that others collect, and it gives you that ability to connect with folks on a social level you may not have previously. So definitely, I think that comes into play.
I would say Trust the Screamer has brought up another good point, right? With the toy photography, he's been collecting the potential stories that I can tell. And that's
100%.
probably been the biggest driver for me as a lifelong, 51-year-old toy collector my whole life. It's always been about the stories that I can act out. I was taking, like I've told people before, I was taking photographs of my action figures when I was 5 years old, and been doing it my whole life, and just telling that story, writing stories about my action figures. I mean, this guy right here, I named him after my son, and he is, I've had actual stories written that I wrote about him, like
I didn't
full on short stories.
I didn't know Mr. Wonderful had a toy.
Mr. Wonderful is not my son. He's my brother.
I
He's my
thought you were asking
brother.
that, man. Sorry.
My
Okay,
mom gave
my bad.
my mom gave me a lot. Your mom gave me a brother. So,
Awesome.
but yeah, I mean,
no,
like that stories that I wrote with him, or just things that I've taken pictures of and enacted out. But like, I just told stories about him, and that's a big part of it too.
yeah, and I think another one of the reasons people collect, is that achievement and mastery, right? It's really, it goes back to this piece right here, right? So right,
Yes.
so you got to collect them all, right? You got to get every one of them. You're a completist and you need everything, right? So I think a lot of it goes into that. You feel like you're accomplishing something. It gives you that immediate gratification of I have this, or if you're hunting for it, or I got a really good deal and I was able to add this to the depth of my collection, or especially when
Yeah.
you're collecting the older retro stuff that you may not have, you may
And a
not
lot
have
of us,
got the first time around.
went crazy, like when something that was a nostalgia bait, like Power of the Force, came out in the 90s, right?
Yep.
And I mean, a lot of us, like myself, I was a collector already, but there was a lot of people that got brought back into hobby by Power of the Force. And
Yep.
everybody was trying to be a completist, even with the smallest, variants. We were all trying to complete that collection. So I mean,
Yep.
the nostalgia bait, and then you throw in the completist thing. That's a double whammy.
Yep. And then, there's one more that I want to cover on, which is kind of the, I guess there's two of them. One we already touched on, and then the other one here is identity and self-expression, right? This kind of covers the photography, right? It gives you that
Yep.
idea to
Yeah.
self-expression of your stories, and
Yep.
we all, and not everybody, but some people are, like myself, you have this like this brain that doesn't turn off a level of creativity, and maybe you're not as good with drawing, or putting something as like Quentin Bagwell, he does
Yep.
awesome hand, he can draw. I don't
Yep.
have that skill set. I never mastered it. My son is very good with that stuff. Again, I have never mastered that, but the idea of being able to take a already created toy and put it in a story that's been in my head or whatever, and snap the figure, photos of it is
Yeah.
something that's really cool. So it gives you that self-expression. I think you do a lot of that, right?
Yeah, it's an expression. It's getting those stories out, because like, I mean, can I draw? Yeah. Can I draw where I'd want to show it off and be able to tell the story in a drawing? No. But can I set up a bunch of
Right.
figures and tell the story that's in my head? Sure.
Yep, yep. And then the last one, which was actually the first one that was mentioned, was the one by Brick, right? It was that, escapism, right? And stress relief, right? It's a way to
Yep.
decompress. It's a way to take yourself a step back out of the world that you deal with every day, whether it's punching a clock, lifting boxes, programming something, dealing with client calls,
Yeah,
whatever
I
it
tell
might
you.
be. It gives you that chance to check out for a little bit.
I know you probably have the same thing now, because and because you got your basement and your office. But when I was married and my kids were little and I was working 50, 60 hours a week, and they'd all finally go to bed and it was quiet, I'd go out to my man cave in the garage, and it was just being surrounded by toys, and I'd tinker with customizing or flocking or whatever I was doing.
Yep.
And it's just after 10 minutes out in the garage, the whole rest of the day that was stressful, and the kids, needing to go here and there and work and everything else, it was just gone, right? It was just a nice escape from reality. So,
Yeah. And I can't say enough about this freaking Mezco, man.
Oh,
This thing
yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah.
He is freaking awesome. I've got two heads that I might be looking to move, though, because I don't need the King's Crown's heads. I just need battle dudes that are going to kick ass and
yeah.
chew bubblegum.
Uh,
That is an awesome figure.
yeah. Let me just pop these chats up real quick. Some of them are related, but this is Dynamic Displays. Thanks for stopping in, man. What's going on, folks?
I don't know if I've
And,
seen him before. I don't know if you
I don't know if he's ever stopped in here or not. I do. I know we follow each other on Instagram, but
Cool. Thanks, man, for jumping in and following.
Joe says he was in a social. Oh, we already talked about that one.
Yeah.
Punk says, so you named that figure after the guy from Star Wars? Yes, his name is Lucas. That is right, Punk. Very good. I'm surprised you know that. Roll Keepers, or Trusted Streamer says, Roll Keeper, I dump money into tiny plastic people who also have tiny plastic cars and guns. Yeah. That was in response to a comment Roll Keeper made about he knows guys that dump tons of money into cars and guns.
I saw that.
So,
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. So I think that covers the drivers, right? I think that's a good segue into the types of collectors, right?
yeah.
So right back to the top, you have your nostalgia collectors, right? Those are the people that are chasing the figures like the 1/18th Joes, right? And anytime a Joe line comes out and they re-release them in those, or the person is trying to finish that catalog of figures that they had from the 80s, or early 90s and such, from the Joe line, or
Yeah, I
could be
think
the
there's
Star
two
Wars
types
collector.
I think there's two types of nostalgia collectors, though, right? Because you have ones like say Bobby Valor, right, who went back and got all the original Joes and got all the original Star Wars characters from the 80s and the back in the day, right? And then you have nostalgia collectors that haven't really collected toys, and all of a sudden they see He-Man or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right?
Classifieds.
And their focus is kind of just I'm going to buy the figures that I had as a kid and keep my collection small. It usually never happens. The guys that can stay true to that, I give you all kudos in the world, but a lot of times it ends up expanding into, oh, well, He-Man out. Oh yeah, I remember G.I. Joe too, or Turtles or whatever, right? But
Yep.
I think that definitely is two types of nostalgia, or two types of collectors that are nostalgia. Like I have an uncle that collects G.I. Joe. He only collects 1960s G.I. Joes because that's what he had as a kid, you know? So it's like,
Okay. So that's kind of like the nostalgia there, and then there's the what
the
would you say? I guess it's like it's a fresh
the
spin
remake.
on
Yeah, the
the
remake of
remake,
nostalgia.
re-release
Yeah.
nostalgia stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the retro feel, right? It's not,
Yep.
they're not. I mean, a lot of cases that's me with a lot of things. Though I'll talk more about my personal piece in a.
You back? I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I just unmuted myself.
Oh. You have to switch earbuds?
Yeah, the earbud died on the other one, so I'm good to go now.
Like Bud right here. He said he was only getting He-Man, Skeletor, Battle Cat, and Panther. Now he's got 103 figures deep in Origin. So
Exactly. Right. So it's somebody who gets a taste of it and then they get in, it's the
yeah,
classified Joes. And, you see a lot of that. And, some people saw those and like, oh, these are cheesy. But as they've done that more modern retro to them, I think a lot more, nostalgia collectors are getting into them because it's like a fresh spin on
yeah,
what they had. So you have the nostalgia. Then you have the investment collectors. Right. You have those that think they're collecting toys as a financial investment. This one ties into some of the conversations we had the last couple episodes, what makes a toy valuable and how to collect on a budget, right? So,
yeah.
this is its own type of collector. It's somebody who's, keeping it in a plastic. They're not letting that plastic breathe most often. They're truly, I'm just gonna buy these, put it in a box, and I have a collection, but the whole goal is to sell it later
Yeah.
on, which I always find is an interesting approach because I don't see it as a really great investment opportunity. A lot of times, like if you're giving a full collection, you're taking a loss on a bunch of filler figures. I think of Legends as an example. You so often see like the Legends lots where they'll drop in one of those
Yeah.
hard to get chase figures, and then you
But
get the
even anymore, realistically, the figures that are considered valuable don't usually stay valuable. Now,
no.
are there
It's an unload it while you can.
exceptions? Are there exceptions? Yes. There are some like original Mythic Legions figures that bring big money. There's some original, Marvel Legends that bring big money. But for the most part, the ones that go up in price because they're hard to find right at the moment, as soon as they're out and about or forgotten about, the value goes down,
100%. And and I know some of the smaller lines like your Mythic Legions try not to re-release at the same level that like a Marvel Legends does.
Right.
In respect to the community that supports them, so that their stuff continues to hold a larger value for them, for those collectors that look at it from a value. I don't even look at my collections as a value. Like if I did, I'd probably make myself sick
Yeah.
thinking about the
I
money
try not
went
to
into
think
it.
about how much I haven't sunk into it because I know it's only worth about 10% of what I actually sunk into it. So
Exactly. So I try not to focus on that, just like yourself, right? It can get to a messy situation there for sure. But you get those situations with the investment collectors. We already kind of highlighted the completists, right? Those
Yeah.
folks that are all like going back for the Joes, the original Star Wars,
Yeah.
and then you have the other group. There's one other group that we haven't touched on really at all, and that's the customizers and creators, right? So I think these folks, I honestly think, a good example of this would be your Mythic Legions folks, right? Going back to that being part of a community. So it gets you into a community, you have some like-minded individuals, but maybe they're not like crazy toy people, but they like the mythic approach and they also get the customization. So you have the ability to open up, into a world that you might not have been around previously. So, I see it as four. You have your nostalgia, your investment.
I think there's a fifth category in there.
Okay.
And I believe that you and I kind of fall into that category. And it's just the guys that have always kind of liked the geek culture, whether it's comic books or movies or whatever it is. And we collect the toys because we want to tell the stories and it's nostalgia and it's, blah, blah, blah. But really it's just because they're fucking cool. And that's why we don't collect, just Mythic Legions or just G.I. Joe or just whatever, right? If we see a figure that's cool, it's like, that's got to go into my collection. Yeah. And there's times that we buy figures, we're like, oh, this would be really cool. And then we get it, put it in our collection. We're like, this really doesn't fit. This doesn't really give me any kind of like, inspiration to take a photograph or whatever. Right. And it's like,
right.
Then you get, then you take that figure and it gets sold out. Right. So it's like,
I
think there's that offshoot of, all of those categories together where you're just kind of like, I like shit. I like cool looking.
Absolutely.
I like big bulky dudes in loincloths, that.
I think it's the plastic passion group that might be a little different, right? So those are the type of collectors that are out there. Like you said, there's that 4 or 5, I think you can probably, I guess I don't know. I guess customizers and creators, right? Like we kind of fall into that where but it's not quite that. It's like a little bit of an offshoot, right?
Yeah.
So there's definitely that 4 or 5, user groups.
I mean, I would say probably there's the 4 or 5 main, and then there's overlapping versions of all those mixed together. Right?
Hybrids, right?
Yeah.
Hybrids of that, absolutely. And then that's going to kind of take us into the next piece, which is the cultural factors, right? There's another aspect here which kind of covers the market trends, the cultural impacts, community influence, those types of things that go into impact, right? So when I think of market trends, I think of like an example would be when someone, and this probably ties to the investor collector, right? I think the market trends typically will tie to that, but when supply is low and demand's high, think of the COVID time period, right? Think about the massive amount of people who came out of the woodworks that were not collectors of anything really, because like the collector mentality isn't there in the younger generations anymore, right? It's I need the new iPhone, let me get the new one. Okay, here's this one, let me get the new one. Like they're not holding on to things. There are people that do, but it is a much lesser quantity of people.
I think social media really, really brought a lot of people to collecting, right? There's a lot of people that I would talk to that I have very good friends that, like they might have a model car of their favorite car when they were a kid on their work desk, or maybe a statue of, their favorite superhero or something. But that was as far as it went, right? But then social media came out, shows like the Big Bang Theory started going, and guys that are, older were like, guys and girls were like, oh, it's actually cool to have some of that stuff. Now I really like that guy. I'm going to go get him, right? Or they saw the bright orange power of the Force cards in the stores, and they're like, holy shit, I had that Stormtrooper as a kid, and I'm going to get it. And I know it's okay because there's 3 other guys my age standing in the aisle buying those figures, right? And
right.
I mean, that's, being accepted as a culture nowadays. It's much more accepted. Like when I was younger, it was not cool to have, as you see in that one picture of that you have in your video there of me sitting on my porch. That was
on your porch.
That was, let's see, my daughter's 25 and she was 1 when that picture was taken. So that was 24 years ago. It was not cool to have a collection that was the size of a bedroom in your house of all sorts of different toys, right?
Yeah.
Very not acceptable in culture. But
I think some of that goes down to like, for me, right? Like that goes back to that teenager, stopped hiding, stopped playing with them, started hiding them, blaming my brother for them. And then moving on. And then when I had my own kids is having the ability to, let me start slipping back into this collector mentality and picking up from there. So I think that's where that comes into play, right? So that's cultural, and then I think the impact of movies, right? Geek genre has become much more mainstream and acceptable. MCU like opened up the door for everyone. And then the remakes of the Star Wars movies and the
re-releases of the Star Wars movies, and then the prequels, and then the MCU blowing up like it did totally changed geek culture along with social media, right? Because then it just became all right, cosplaying,
cosplay,
it was back in the day. I remember going to like the Star Wars movies, and there was guys dressed like Jedis, and I thought it was cool as shit. But I remember people laughing at them, at the movie theater. Why is that dude dressed up just coming to a movie theater, right? But
right.
Now it's like Now you're like, holy shit, man, this guy's cosplay is awesome. Holy shit, that looks good.
Exactly. And now
I mean, those people spend,
toy
millions of
show.
dollars on a cosplay. It's like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then you have the toy shows that people are at, or the power cons, the San Diego Comic Cons, the comic conventions, different things like that. That a lot of folks will dig into and stuff. So it became much more culturally acceptable to be a part of those bigger things.
Joe, you're the most coolest dude in my book, so you don't have to worry about that. So
I mean, you're Joe Cool. You're Joe
That's
Cool.
right.
Like you can change your username.
That's right.
To Joe Cool.
Anybody that can
forward.
live their life working in the work that you do and then come home and paint and customize Mythic Legions like you do is cool in my book, brother.
Absolutely. And the last thing is kind of the community influence, right? And that's where we started. Conventions, the online forums, right? Like I think of I stopped doing toys, and then my kids started, and then I was like, well, I stopped pro wrestling. So that was like my passion before. It's what I focused everything on. So I was like, oh, well, my son's playing it. He likes watching it on TV. I can't go do it myself anymore. I'll watch it on TV. And hey, he's at an age where he's playing with toys. Let's grab some toys. So then we start playing with the toys. And then I start digging into it. It's like, wait a minute, they now have them in scale, right? Like they're not just all the same body size. So this is cool. And then that realist in me, like, oh, cool, they're scaled. And I'm digging into forums. I see people customizing. And I was like, wait, there's other adults like myself out here that are playing and customizing wrestling action figures. Oh, snap, they're building arenas. Oh my goodness, this is the coolest. What is this thing about picture feds? Oh, I'm not good enough to do this. But, you found that there's people out there doing things very similar to what, you were doing, but nobody knew you were doing. And I screw this. Like, I'm not weird. There's like 100,000 people registered for this forum, and they're all into this stuff too. So I'm good. I think that helps make people more comfortable with it. So, that definitely plays a factor into collecting, right? And making it more socially acceptable. I always chalked it up to when I was building my arenas for the wrestling stuff. And now when I try to do the, Dio stuff when I have time, is I always chalk it up to, the closest thing you can compare it to is those people who, in their basement built those train dioramas and all that stuff. Yeah. And, I guess people thought they were weird, but I'm like, hey, they did it. This is my train. This is my train, dio that I built, but it's just wrestlers and an arena.
It was kind of funny because that whole train thing was, it was still kind of seen as an odd thing, but people accepted that as like some kind of art form, model building type thing, right?
Exactly.
And it's like, then you got guys that are building dios for action figures. So people are like, well, that's kind of dorky. It's like
it's the same thing, dude.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. But again, it's like the cars and all that stuff. And, that stuff, so, to me, it's that's the cultural factors that play into collecting and stuff. So that brings me next, and we kind of started to allude on this. So Ed, I'll let you go first. Talk about one of your stories and experiences, that plays into the psychology of your collecting.
Well, I remember I have a brother that's a couple years older than me. He's like almost 2 years older than I am. And I have a cousin that is the same age as I am. He's only a couple months younger than I am. So we basically grew up together. And for the first 5 years I was alive, it was just the three of us. And I had two uncles that were very big into G.I. Joe when they were kids, the 60s and 70s Joes. And my one uncle was actually an artist who had a job offer from Disney and job offers from Marvel and stuff like that as be an artist for him and stuff. And, so he was always talking about comic books and stuff like that. And, the three of us kids just always lived in that realm where it was just like, always talking about toys and fantasy stuff and all those stories, and it was it's just a way of, for me, it just kind of stuck, my brother and my cousin, they're both now into sports and things like that. And they could care less about toys, but I show them a picture that I took and they're both like, oh, that's freaking awesome. Right. But it's like, they have no interest in going out and buying toys, it's like,
right.
And, it's a thing that just kind of stuck with me, I guess, mostly because that was my creative outlet. I've always customized. I've always made up my own stories, and I've just always done that kind of thing where it's just, tell a story. Didn't care what anybody else thought. I mean, I had action figures in my locker in high school. I didn't care. I didn't fit in anyway. So what difference did it make?
No, that's good.
And I didn't want to. I didn't want to.
Right. Didn't need to. You were enjoying life, right? And that's the
right.
key, right? Just enjoying it. So, I think back to my story, right? One of the big stories for me is when I was a kid. We didn't have a lot of money, but what we did is, we got to go to the toy store, go to KV Toys, and I could always get those Marvel figures, the X-Men and all of that stuff back in the mid '90s. And but I liked the comics and I liked that stuff, right? But I didn't play superhero figures. I got them because I looked at them and I go, this one would be a good, big, tough bad guy for my wrestlers. And I was like, because we didn't have the money to buy the WWE figures, because I was like, I get one of them, or I could get like 4 of these, Marvel figures for like $250 or $333 or whatever it was at the time. So I was stuck to those, right? And for me, like I would get on the floor and play with those toys, and my brother, who's a few years younger than me, he would, we would be at the same, thing, like on a Saturday, or if I wasn't out, touching the grass and doing something else, when I was younger, I'd be on the floor, colder months, whatever, sitting there, and I'd have my little fake wrestling ring, and my brother would see me doing it, or I'd see him doing it, and like maybe wrestling was on a TV. We'd get there, we'd lay all the figures out on the floor, and we'd pick them, right? Because I never did learn how to play together. I knew how to parallel play. It's all I was good at. So, we would collect our toys. He would have his, I would have mine. We'd split them, and I would tell these stories, these wrestling shows, and that's what I did. So, for me, that's the big, thing for me, which, what do I do when my kid gets older? My wife, I got a boy, he's 20 now. And, when he was little, she stayed at home. So she was always there occupying him, teaching him things. And he'd want to play with toys. And mommy would play like toys. But mommy didn't play the same way daddy did. Daddy would get his toys and they were wrestling each other. And I didn't do that when she played. She was playing, they weren't Barbies, but she was treating them like they were Barbies.
Yeah.
So, when I'd get home, I'd be like, oh no, we're going to turn wrestling on. We'd watch wrestling replay or whatever. And we'd get his cage and his ring out, and we'd do that. So it was just like furthering, that same feeling of when I was a kid and I get on the floor, lay on my stomach and play with the figures with my brother or next to my brother better. I do the same thing with my sons, and I've continued to do that. So, for me, it was big that wrestling background and that toys, and it was my way of interacting with my kids and playing with them. And then I get in trouble because I keep playing after they're gone. But, that's for me, that's part of the joy. It's I think this goes to the,
I think you got, like a lot of people just take pictures, which is a form of playing, but I mean, like I can't tell you how blessed I felt when I found out that we were having a son, right? Because it was like, okay, someone I can actually play with and not be, the dork that's 35 years old playing with his toys on the floor, right?
Right. You had an excuse.
Yeah. And, I guess like something you also brought up in your story was like, I didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up either. My mom and dad, my dad was a mechanic and my mom basically stayed home when I was young, but my mom and dad always made sure that Christmas was, special. Our birthdays were special. If it was the end of the year and we did good on our school report card or whatever, my mom would take us to the store and let me pick out the dollar, action figure that I wanted. And I can remember standing in the toy aisles and just being like, in heaven and trying to figure out the one figure I was going to buy for the great report card that I got from school, or I had $5 from my birthday money that I could buy 2 figures from, and trying to figure out which 2 I was going to get. Right. And it was such it was just amazing to look at, from floor. A lot of kids don't understand, even though like my son, I've taken him to Toys R Us when it was still open when he was young. But when I was a kid and you could go into any department store and it was from floor to ceiling, and one aisle might've been completely G.I. Joe. On one side was just stacked, it was such an amazing thing to just experience. And it was, there's just nothing like it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it goes to a lot of that, right? And, me getting into the community, digging deeper than just the wrestling forums, finding the different groups, getting into the Joes, which led me to Vala, which led me down the path of independent toy lines, puts me where I sit today, right? And, the Hexastack, that all came from getting into these different figure lines and stuff, and the independent stuff. All of that comes to fruition as a result of this entire piece. And I also think, it's funny you mentioned Toys R Us and stuff, right? Actually, when we were in Canada still has Toys R Us, and we walked into Toys R Us, and I made sure me and little Wonder got to do that, because for me it was I gotta take it to Toys R Us. I know they have them here. We're gonna go check them out. As soon as the doors open, take a whiff of that smell. It smells just like they did.
Still smells like Toys R Us.
Exactly. Exactly. So going in there and, and then that's all toys, all aisles of toys and stuff, and just walking up and down there. And it's a little different now, right? Because I get so much stuff online, and I don't collect a lot of the mainstream. There's certain things. So of course I go and hit those up. My son does collect some of those. And, my oldest was with us. I did save the Toys R Us trip till our last day driving home, because I knew my oldest would be with us, and just to kind of walk through the toy stores, because every Sunday we used to go there after church, and we'd see, they'd always have their deals on the Nerf guns, buy one get one 50% off. So like just going through and seeing that. So there's those experiences, and I think it brings you back to that place in time, and it gives you that emotion, that high, right? That dopamine kick of like some positive experiences. I mean, were there times I had to tell my kids no, we couldn't get something, and they might have been a little upset leaving the toy stores? But the amount of times that we went in there and we had a freaking blast seeing things or buying something, it all left a majority of the time a positive experience. So those are the moments that you remember, and I think that's why, one of the big reasons I collect. So
like I have, like, since I live alone, I have my entire collections not my entire collection, but the bulk of my collections in my living room. I have toys surrounding my TV, up on the shelf in front of my kitchen, on another table over there. Like every end table that should be held, reserved for like holding my coffee cup, is just covered in action figures or dioramas, and it's like I go home from work and it's just peaceful for me.
Yeah. And I mean, like, most recently, and I think this is the last story I'll give. You saw it in some of the promo videos for what we were talking about for the main topic. I was out there with the Crucible in my lawn. That isn't something I like doing it, but I was like, hey, I'm going to take my little guy out here and we're going to do it together. And that's going to be fun. I'm going to teach him how to use a phone and a camera, a tripod, and just kind of like help him. Because like sometimes we'll be hanging out and he'll be working in the basement playing with the wrestlers or something, and I'll be working on the Hexastack stuff, and he'll be in the ring and he'll snap a picture, and he'll be like, Dad, look at this picture. And it's like one of the guys that he hates that he knows I like. And, he's got him hanging over the top rope, and he's like got him in a chokehold or something. And so I'm like, he'll love this. So started doing that with him outside. And we haven't done it as much as I'd like to, because it's been a crazy summer. And It's something I want to continue to do with him, and expand on and work with, because I think it's a cool, like, little way to do it. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, like I told you before, right? I mean, I started doing that stuff with Luke when he was, 5-6 years old, and he'd set things up and take pictures with his DS or whatever game system he had, and then when he got a phone, he started doing it with his phone. And now he's in high school, 18 years old, whatever, right? And I'm like, dude, let's go to the creek. And he's like, all right, which figures you bringing? Let's go for a hike. Okay, which figures you bringing?
That's awesome.
Hey, let's take your AWOCs out there. Let's take your aliens out. Let's take whatever, right? And it's a cool bond to have for a father and a son, and it's something you can do that you don't even have to have a lot of figures. You can just have a couple and ones you enjoy and take pictures of them.
And I think it partly touches on that piece that the escapism, right? I mean, some dads teach their kids how to work on a car. Some moms teach it too, right? I don't mean to say it that way, but sometimes parents teach their kids how to work on things and do things that are going to add value from a financial perspective and a tool. Playing with toys isn't necessarily going to teach them how to make money, and maybe they get creative and it takes them down that path. But to me, it's that unmeasurable.
My son wrote a book, right? I don't think that Luke probably would have wrote a book had I not been the type of dad that I was, encouraging his, creative flow, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what it is, right? It's like you're going to learn some things, but a lot of it's not measurable. But I think it's the smiles and the joy that they have, and it's also going to teach them, when they're older, they can sit back and they can, I don't want to say check out, but they can plug in and charge their batteries a different way, right? It's another way of expression and releasing some of that frustration to just kind of like decompress and stuff. So
It's like
for
my
me,
ex father-in-law always said, right? He used to my ex used to say, "Oh, well, he's probably out buying toys or playing with his toys." And my father-in-law was always, "At least it's not drugs and alcohol, right? He could be spending thousands of dollars on that, right? Instead of a plastic thing, right?"
That's what I've always said to my wife and other people. When I was playing video games or when I would watch wrestling all the time or fantasy football or toys, whatever it is that's got my attention, right? Because things change attention every 5 minutes for me, but certain things remain the same. But I always say it's like, I could be worse. I could be on drugs. I could be losing all our money. I could be drinking. I could be out cheating, like doing things. Not that I mean, those aren't things I am, but my other passion is plastic, right? It's always funny, right? You see that meme online where the woman's laying next to bed, laying in bed next to her.
I bet he's thinking about other girls. Yeah.
I bet she's thinking about a girl or whatever. And in his mind, it's like he's in Toys R Us and he's grabbing some packages off the shelf. And it's like, no, you got a good one there. He doesn't care about that other stuff. You're his only, you're his one and only. But he still likes that plastic. So, those are some stories and experiences, right? So there's a lot that goes into it. I think we covered on a lot of things, but a lot of it just ties back to the emotional connection that it has to things. And
that's really what it is,
people.
right? It all comes down to the emotional connection. So
exactly. So,
let's pop through the chat real quick before we go into this last section.
Absolutely.
Here. So Mr. Fu says he's not sure what category a collector he falls into, other than the fact that he's 1/18th for life. We know that much. Plastic Skulls, what's up, my man? Glad to see you here, brother, if you're still in here. Well, I'm a completist and a customizer who has nostalgia and a hole in my pocket. Yes, Joe, Trust the Screamer. Bedroom, I got a basement. Yeah, I used to have a full garage, but it's got shrunk to a living room in an old trailer now. So this may come as a big shock. Oh, we already went over that one. And then DJ 5000, good times. Thanks for stopping in, brother.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right,
awesome.
and on to the next category.
Yeah, so the next piece is covering tips for collectors, right? So starting a collection, right? Begin with toys you're passionate about. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? Get into what you enjoy, get into the things that bring back that nostalgia. If you're an investor, good luck. 4 Horsemen, go with those. They tend to be the most value ones I see. So go with the Mythic Legions and roll with those.
If you're going to go into toy collecting now, even some of the mainline stuff is not easy to find anymore, right? Like G.I. Joe is not in every store. He-Man is not in every store, like it was a couple years back. First of all, don't get sucked into the FOMO. Don't get sucked into something because somebody else is doing it. If you like one figure from a line, get that one figure. You don't need to get the whole line to enjoy it. I guess that'd be my biggest thing, right? You can have 2 action figures and go out and take awesome photographs with them and enjoy the shit out of them and not have to worry about ever buying another one. So buy what you like and collect what you like.
Yeah, and basically, research what you like, if it's wrestling, if it's fantasy, if it's, if you're looking for, coming in and it's not about a financial benefit, look at the nostalgia, look at the, relevant things that you're interested in. Maybe it's a price. Maybe you are collecting on a budget. Go back a few episodes ago and check out the collecting on a budget and find out what it is. Maybe you're not tied to a specific figure, lore, or scale, and you're into anything, right? So if that's the case, check out that one. Learn where you can grab things, pick stuff up at garage sales, aftermarket stuff, things like that. If you're looking as an investor, I just say 4 Horsemen because from my experience, they tend to maintain value and sometimes increase a little bit better than maybe some of the mainstream stuff. It might be holding on to it harder, but from what I've seen, what I've heard, those things carry their value a little bit more effectively than the other items. You're not going to see.
I wouldn't say like some of the 4 Horsemen stuff.
Yeah,
some of the 4 Horsemen stuff has blips, but some of the old stuff is worth a lot of money. But they still, no matter what, they usually maintain the value what you paid for them, even open.
And that's
right.
That's what I mean.
That's the big thing, right? It's you like this patch figure. He was whatever $45 for the 2-pack or whatever. I've got him
Yep.
open now. He's probably worth $3 to somebody nowadays, right?
Gotcha.
But
Yeah.
a Mythic Legions, you could open them up and they'll still be worth basically what you paid for them a year down the road, even if you've opened them up and played with them, right?
Yeah, I mean, and you kind of hinted towards the next piece when it comes to this piece, right? And tips is maintaining a collection, right? Proper storage and display techniques, right? So, as you talk about taking them out of the box, make sure you're putting them in appropriate, condition. If you're somebody who plays with them, play with them. So what if they get dings and dents? If you're not looking to make money off them in the future, play with them how you want to. You could be
Put 'em in
even
the mud.
as I was going to say, you could be as even sloppy as you, right? And then put them in the mud if that's your temperature, and that's what you like to do. I say go for it. Clean them up, maintain them. Don't let them get ruined. If you're an inbox collector, more from an investor collector approach, get some. There's all sorts of hard shell cases and clamshell cases. You can put your things in. I have some for. Typically, I use them only for the figures in which that I get like autographed on the boxes.
Yeah,
because I want to keep them in that. So I have a few like that I use for stuff.
and keep them out of the sun, right? Sun is the worst killer of any action figure there is, right? You can leave a figure in the mud, you can leave a figure in the water. He might fade a little bit, but sun, it'll fade the paint, it'll wreck the plastic, it'll kill everything, even in a package. Even in a package. So
absolutely, yeah. No, that's good points there. And then, I think. I think that the next piece is you've already started doing, one of the tips we would give which is networking. If you're watching this stream, right? If you've watched this stream, follow, like, subscribe. You'll see us around town. And what I mean by that is on all these other channels and stuff. So, there's tons of folks that are in the community. There's folks in our chat. There's folks, chats that we join and things like that. And that helps. Like, it makes it even more fun to collect, right? Because, like, you got friends that get stuff. Maybe, it helps you. You got somebody like Ed, who I can trust, his opinion on things. He knows the types of things I like. He knows what I'm not a huge fan of. So, using the example of the fist figures, well, I wanted to support them and, see how good they were. I know that, what I saw wasn't premium product yet. They're on their way. Hopefully they continue to make those strides. But, like, knowing that, had Ed bought one of those there by himself and I not got them, he could have easily told me, hey, that's probably not going to be your cup of tea based on these couple things, right?
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Being in a network, establishing those friends, those, people you can, deal with in that way. Also trading, somebody, in another region in the country who has better access to distribution might be able to be like, I came across this.
Or just like that, like something that just happened, right? Joe Fest. You had me grab the fist figures for you.
Yep.
I know Matthew Matson was grabbing some bone collectors for guys at Joe Fest, and guys at Joe Fest were grabbing, some of the exclusives there, like Monster Force and Delta 17 figures for the guys that weren't able to get there. So having a network and stuff is a good thing.
Yeah, I met a guy named Joe Ricondo, really cool dude, at a local toy show here in upstate New York, and he was down at Joe Fest. And I wanted to get the comic from Delta 17 with a special inscription on it from Ken. So I said, hey, he and I were talking about some other stuff because there's some stuff that I'm getting that I'm looking to move after it gets here. And he's interested in it. He's like, what can I do? And I was like, dude, I just pay for what I paid for it. Like, I'm not looking to make money off you. Like, it's not something I'm trying to profit off of. He's like, oh, that's so cool. Like, he's like, what can I do? He's like, I was like, hey, if you're going to be at Joe Fest, grab me that D17 comic. And
that's right.
He's like, oh, I know Ken and those guys. I'll get him to take care of you. And I was like, cool. If you can just go hit him up for the comic and, have him write on that for me, that's all I want, so that I can get that. So he snagged that for me, and we're going to meet up and, like that's community, right? And it's made for that brotherhood and moving away from that word community, right? It's that brotherhood. And I love that because the ToyLeet is a brotherhood. And that's the idea, right? It's that concept of establishing that, So, those are the tips that I would make for, someone getting into collecting more recently. And for, if you come across this stream and learning how to collect and what to collect, there's a couple other episodes you can go back to that we previously recorded where we talk about, what adds value, what gives a figure value, and additionally, how to, find things on the cheap. So definitely check that out.
I would say, probably the biggest thing is if you're not sure, right? Watch a couple of streams, watch a couple of people, watch a couple of reviews, get to kind of know what's out there, right? Especially for people that are new, they might not realize that paying $45 for certain figures or $100 for a Mezco is okay because you're getting your money's worth, whereas paying $100 for a classified figure is probably not the best thing, right?
Yep.
So, and you can kind of pick that up just from watching things, but also don't be afraid to jump in. If you like something, don't be afraid to buy it. It's your
Brutal
money.
Realm.
Yeah, it's your money. It's your story. It's your life. If you like, a figure and it's the only one you see and it's a little more than you think it's worth, but it's worth it to you. Anything in this life is only worth what it's worth to you.
Exactly. Don't just get something because of the value somebody else perceives it to be. Don't jump into FOMO. Too often people deal with FOMO, and it dings them in the backside in the end. So get what you like, collect what you like, enjoy what you collect.
And let those motherfuckers breathe.
Yes, you must let them breathe. I just let Conan breathe tonight, and he is. If I could show you what's happening, basically while we were on this stream, somehow Conan is on. Let me do this real quick before.
Yeah, let's see this.
So Conan is like down on his knee, and he's got Nil Vineyard, whatever his name is, getting ready to attack him. So they work perfect, and Conan is breathing. He's hanging on, but and he's getting there. But yeah, that's what I've been doing when I was unboxing it tonight. It's giving him that axe and that sword. Those are still free. Such a good figure. But yeah, tips to collectors. I would kind of leave it at that, and then we'll go into the last one here and kind of wrap up the topic, and that's your why. So we've already talked about by sharing our history and our stories, we kind of already covered our why. The question here is more of a call to action to those in the in the live stream and those catching us on the replay. In the comments,
leave us a comment.
Add your why. Talk about your why. Share your why. I'm sure your why is very similar or could be relatable to many others. For those that are still streaming in, I know we're running a little long tonight with this topic, but if you're in the chat still and you want to give us your why. Why do you collect? I know Brick already shared some earlier. I know Joe shared some. Joe likes to be broke. Brick likes to escape. Trust a screamer. I think he said something about photography. So what is your why? Know your why. What I will also say is we're doing that, like, subscribe, share, be part of the community or be part of the brotherhood.
Right.
And, enjoy it. And, you don't have to just be a brother to be involved. You can be a sister too. Doesn't make a difference. Right. Be part of the community or brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever it wants to be. I didn't see any comments come in just yet. I did see that Happy Accident did join us.
Yeah, Happy's here.
So
What's up, Happy?
Accident. Appreciate it. Thank you for jumping in. Going in, I'm just going to go ahead and call out the topic for next week here, Ed.
Yeah.
This one I'm really excited to talk about because this is going to get down and dirty.
Yeah. We're bringing in the grit for this one.
Yeah, this is going to be uncensored. We're gonna talk about it, right? Because there's a lot of rivalries. There's Joe and Action Force. There's Savage and Four Horsemen. There's Legos and Mega Bloks.
Yep.
There's a lot of really big rivalries.
There's Hasbro and Mattel.
Oh, there's Hasbro, Mattel. There's Mattel and Jack Specific, from the wrestling side. So we're going to talk about some of the biggest rivalries in toy history next week. And we're going to just kind of call it like it is, right? Put it out there for everyone to hear. We're definitely interested in hearing your opinions on some of those toy rivalries. And I think Brick, somehow that dude was in line with our thought process on some of this because earlier on tonight's show, he talked about competition, creating innovation, and and being better for the consumers. So tune in next week, same YouTube channel, same YouTube time, and we will be digging into the biggest rivalries in toy history.
Yeah, and to answer our question, Roll Keeper, the shout out for the week.
Yes,
he says it's kind of nostalgia and building its own little world, and that's it, right? If this nostalgia is a nice part of all of us collecting, right? Because you're not a 40, 50-year-old dude collecting toys without some kind of nostalgia to it. But
Absolutely.
a lot of it has to do with just building that world and having some place to escape to or escape from life or whatever, right? Or just tell that story that rattles around in your brain when you lay down at 2 o'clock in the morning, or you're at your desk at work and all of a sudden you're like, shit, that'd be a great picture. I can't wait to get home. Right. It's
Or you're live streaming on the
Right.
ToyLeet Takeover,
yeah.
and you unbox Conan, and you have a Savage Crucible kicking his ass.
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. So, no, yeah, thank you, Roll Keeper, and again, shout out, brother. If you know, you know. With that
Yeah.
said, I think that's it this week, Ed. Real quick for those that
I think
are
that's it.
catching us on the live or the replay, we'll be back next week on Tuesday. Ed, hit me with your upcoming schedule this week.
What do I have going this week? So tomorrow, I have the night off tomorrow. No shows for me on Wednesdays. Thursday is Punk with Toys for his Thursday with a friend. He's got Michael from Toy Habits coming on, so that should be a really good show. Michael's a really cool guy. Him and Toy Sorceress do a great live stream, cover news and stuff like that. And of course, Friday I'll be with Radnom on his random diorama channel for his late night craft and chill. Usually starts about 11 p.m. to midnight Eastern time. And then Saturday, we will be back with the Clubhouse Saturday. We took the last week off, just needed a break. We got this Saturday coming up. And then next Saturday is our 24-hour marathon for the Clubhouse from 6 a.m. Saturday to 6 a.m. Sunday.
So this Saturday isn't the long stream.
No. It's the same weekend as SDCC. We were a week ahead.
Okay.
We got confused with our time. But next Saturday, not this coming Saturday, next Saturday is the weekend of SDCC, San Diego Comic-Con. And we're going to be kind of doing a live with hopefully have people that are there popping in and just doing some,
cool.
live things of like when Hasbro announces their stuff or, NECA does or, whatever, any kind of news that pops out of there. So
cool.
And then of course, Sunday night, Hella Dope Toys. If you're looking for toys, you want them in one business day, Beast Man. You go to Hella Dope Toys. Ted will lick, make love, whatever you want him to do to your package. He'll do it for you.
Sell, I make them buy. Hella dope toys will never die.
Yeah.
So toys over at helladopetoys.com because we don't do none of that big bad stuff around here.
Awesome. Good.
How about you, brother? What you got?
I don't have any appearances or other activities this week. You know me, I roll into the chats and just, comment and watch stuff. Up until this week, things have been crazy busy, but I think things are starting to chill at my normal 9 to
Can we
5,
expect some He-Man? Can we expect some Conan Savage Crucible crossover pictures on your IG this week?
It is very possible that I
All
could
right.
do that. I got to get out there with the boy one of these nights. It's been so hot here too.
It's been hot.
It's
rainy.
not like, it's not like the kind of weather I want to go out there and be in the grass. And so, I will be definitely consider getting him out there. I got a few other Savages I gotta open up from the shadow slates I never got to. But I also, I forgot about that. I did get a bunch of other stuff. I got a whole bag of tricks from
nice.
my custom action, my action figure customs.
Yeah.
From the Savage Crucible folks, I got a whole bunch of heads and tails and weapons and stuff that they're not 3D printed, they're injection molded. So I got that. I got to hook up my slates with. So definitely do my best to get out there. I do have a big show coming up on Saturday, though. I'm going to be going to Impractical Jokers at one of the local events here. So we're going to take the family out and see Impractical Jokers show in person. And hopefully I'll try to catch the Twisters movie I think is coming out this week, too. So other than
I almost got tickets for the in Rochester, which is about halfway between us, as you and I both know, but other people don't understand. Rochester, New York is about halfway between Travis and I. And they have Whose Line Is It Anyway coming.
Okay. Yep.
I think next month or in September, maybe.
Yep.
Something like that. So I was going to get tickets for that, but then everything else happened. So.
Oh, I hear you. We got these on a deal, so we'll be checking that out. But that's about it. I'll probably try to swing by the clubhouse on Saturday. I'll be working in the basement is my plan.
Yeah.
Trying to book up time down there to get things packaged up and stuff as I'm preparing a couple items and some news to come here shortly. So very pleased to say that we are near launch on Hexastack. But we got
Yes.
a couple days left.
We have
and
to
that's
we have to get a commercial put together for ToyLeet and Hexastack for the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Larry 5K,
Mr. Moneybags,
or
Yeah,
soon to
yeah,
be
we gotta
Larry
do that.
5K. So
Absolutely.
be on the
So,
lookout for
again,
that. So
Yeah, again, check us out next week when we dive into the top what was it called?
toy
Jeez,
rivalries
man.
in
Thank
history.
you. Top toy rivalries, where we compare, the Mattels versus Hasbro's, the Joes versus Action Force, the Four Horsemen versus Savage Crucible.
Right.
We're gonna dig into Barbie versus G.I. Joe, Star Wars versus Spaceballs. That whole
That's right.
that
That's
whole
a big
thing.
one. Star Wars
Right.
versus Spaceballs. We forgot about that rivalry.
Exactly. So with that said, I want to say thank you.
Yes,
Hit the
thanks
like,
everybody.
subscribe, come in and join the chat. We have a
Right.
blast
Tell
talking to you guys.
Tell your kids, tell your cousins, tell your sisters, tell your pizza delivery guy. Come on over to the ToyLeet on the Action Figs channel and subscribe to the Mr. Wonderful. No, I'm sorry. Subscribe to the Mr. Wonderful and myself over here on the ToyLeet and enjoy the show. And you might be the next shout out.
Stay wonderful.
Now, but remember this. Let your toys breathe. Do this. Toys on the desk, it's the new habitat. ToyLeet Takeover, we're loving that. It's a stack high in the air where it's at. Everywhere's a playground for Mr. Wonderful. In the office, living room, let them breathe. Action Figs hit the trail through the mud and undersell. It's the ToyLeet life beyond the shelf we prepare. Figures and cents in perfect place. With Hexastack we own the space. From battle seeds to epic quests, our collection's always at its best.